Solid Signal podcast for the week of September 21st, 2015. Happy autumn to all of you, and I would like to wish especially a happy autumn to everybody who is looking forward to what is potentially a horrible winter. Enjoy the warmth while you can. At any rate, it was supposedly Albert Einstein who is said to have remarked that insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's a little harsh, but I'll tell you that the quote came to mind last night as I was watching the Emmys, as I have for the last, 30 or 40 years, and thinking how much the world of television and video has changed and how little the Emmys have. Yes, of course. I mean, they actually did make some supposedly meaningful changes, which resulted in Orange is the New Black being a drama, but at the same time, Inside Amy Schumer being a comedy and not a sketch show or something like that. So obviously they're still tweaking a little bit, but more to the point, what didn't change, my friends, was that oftentimes awards are given for long time commitment to a program and not necessarily because the program did well that particular year. Also, unfortunately, I find that I'm not always in agreement with the Television Academy, and especially when it comes to those shows that win year after year after year, and yet I never liked them in the first place. But that is personal preference and nothing more. Well, maybe just a little bit more. Indulge me for just a second, because I just have to say that Transparent won an awful lot of awards, and I really don't want to get into politics or, advancing any sort of agenda, even if I think that agenda is just. But I will say that I didn't think that Transparent was a very good show, and if what you were trying to do was advance the cause of trans people all over the world, I'm not sure how this did it. The fact is, it won a lot of Emmys and it got a lot of acclaim because it's a show about people in Hollywood who are just as paranoid and just as neurotic as normal people in Hollywood. It really was a show about that far more than it was a show about someone going through a huge change in their lives. I hate to say it, but it seems like I Am Kate, which is really, for the most part, terrible trash television, is a lot more about that subject. That said, I don't find it terribly entertaining. But this is really kind of where I'm getting to. I think that if you look back at Hollywood, especially the last 30 years or so, you've seen an obsession with Hollywood in Hollywood. About 20 years ago, movie critic Michael Medved famously wrote a book called Hollywood versus America, which, even though it's largely discredited now, and by and large I do tend to disagree with it, did make the point that Hollywood was trying to advance an agenda, whether or not that agenda was just. And that affected things for the short term, but really what we're looking at now is no longer a political agenda. It's simply an agenda of, we're Hollywood, we're going to make movies about Hollywood, and we're going to reward ourselves for making movies and TV shows about Hollywood. When The Artist won Best Picture a couple of years ago, I thought, here's an interesting thing, because it's a silent film and it's an interesting achievement, but it wasn't worth an Oscar. It wasn't that good of a movie. And the proof on that is it has been almost completely forgotten since, in a very short period of time. But it was about the history of Hollywood. It was about Hollywood people. And so Hollywood people voted for it. It would be as if I rated films on the quality and the number of satellite dishes and home theater equipment that I found on the movie or TV show, which is absurd. Of course it's absurd, and you would be right for calling me out on that, but that's what we're seeing here. When I saw, Transparent winning these awards, I didn't think it was because it was a terribly courageous portrayal, because I don't think that it was. I think that it was a portrayal, and I think occasionally it really did bring up some points, but that was secondary to the plot. And keep in mind, I'm not espousing any specific agenda here, whether or not you think that agenda is just. I'm talking about whether or not this show was any good and whether or not it deserved to be rewarded. Of course, if there's any show type that Hollywood likes almost as much as it likes talking about itself. It's talking about politics. And this is why Veep won, because, it's a show that really kind of treats politics almost like everybody in politics is a Hollywood person. And I think that is an indictment of what we're really looking at today. I was a fan of The West Wing, at least the first couple of seasons, because it treated politicians and the people who worked for them as different from Hollywood types, as more interested in actually making things happen than Hollywood types. And what Veep does is really just play it broadly for laughs in a way that just covers up the basic neurotic Hollywood subtype with, just an extra layer of politics. This is something that does not surprise me at all, and I am sad to see it. But at any rate, not surprised, because according to Albert Einstein's definition, I must be insane. I plan on watching the Emmys and other award shows for years to come, and I still hope, vainly, that what we will see is truly rewarding excellent performances and not just the mirrors that Hollywood people hold up to themselves.